All right, now we're on Busan mayoral candidate vows to designate English as official language of the city of Busan. Busan is the second largest city in South Korea. It's the southern coastal city. It's an awesome place. I've been a couple times, I think, and it's a cool place to go. It's got a nice beach. But this former journalist wants to make, if he becomes mayor, he wants to increase the economic stability of the city by making English the official language of the whole city. Which is, I understand his reasons, because it goes on in the article to say he wants to create a better place for like multinational companies to reside. Because Busan, the economics of Busan, it's sort of falling because everything is just so concentrated in Seoul. So he wants to create a place where companies could thrive and work, and people could exchange information and stuff. So it seems like a really good idea. Unfortunately, I don't think this will ever happen as long as I'm alive in Korea. Because his whole thing is like making every citizen fluent, English fluent in the city, which I mean, we are in the, or half of us are in the English teaching game right now, and there are some major problems um, or issues in the education system as it is that it would just be virtually impossible. And then one of his ways he wants to increase fluency is just importing a bunch of English teachers from English speaking countries, which there are some good ones. There are some good English teachers that could come and do it. But if it's like how it used to be, where you're basically opening the door to anyone, you're going to get quite a few shitheads um, that probably won't be as great. So there just seems to be a lot of issues about this. But I don't know. What do you think about Busan trying to make English the official language of the city?
You ready? Are you ready for a triggered moment?
Let's do it.
Korea needs to stop trying to beat other countries. Like they are literally losing their identity and a lot of their cultural identity because they're trying to be something that they're not. Which I'm all for learning new things. I'm all for expanding your horizons. But I just feel bad. Like, you remember when we talked about the fried chicken as the greatest Korean food now?
Hmm.
Like, for dinner today, we had japchae and tteokbokki. And like, I was thinking like, this stuff is so good. Why isn't this the national Korean dish, you know?
Japchae,
And
especially the glass noodles with the meat, or not for you meat, but meat and like veggies in it. So good.
yeah, it was freaking amazing. And and yeah, you can try and boost the economy in Busan. I think there are 100 better ways to do that in Busan. But what are you doing? You're taking away the intrigue. You're taking away um, literally the and what blows my mind is Hangul, the Korean language. Most Koreans are so proud of it. King Sejong, he Sejong, he created this language, and it's so it's a very I wouldn't say complicated, but he definitely had to be very smart. Well, him and all of his advisors to create this language, and they were rebelling against China. They wanted to have their own language, and it's very systematic. That's something to be proud of. And if people want to learn foreign languages, that also creates more marketability for them. Um, and I don't know. I don't like it. I understand why they're doing it. It's just in my mind, yeah, I don't know.
It drives me crazy as somebody who's trying to learn Korean when you have places or people that even if I'm trying to use Korean, they'll use English to me because they want to make it easier for me. Um, and I want to like slap them in the face and be like, no, you're not making it easier. You're making it harder. Um, like I understand for like new people who maybe don't know it's nice to have some English to be able to find things or whatever, but then there's no motivation to learn the language. I think that's why a lot of the guys who have lived in Korea for a long time, like there are many of them that don't know a single word of Korean because they can just get by with the English that's everywhere or people using English um, to make it easy on the foreigners. And it's like, well,
Hmm.
there's just no motivation to look deeper into the culture then. Um,
Yeah, I think that that's really sad that a mayor, a mayoral candidate of an entire, I mean, the second largest city in Korea is trying to promote this. I just don't see the cultural reasoning for it. I don't see the economical reason for it. I mean, I understand his point, but um, and like you said, it just makes, well, let's get one thing straight. Like you said, it would be virtually impossible. And I will full-heartedly say that is because of the educational system in Korea. Korea's educational system is wonderful for certain subjects. For math, dude, it's freaking awesome. And it reflects that in the scores. For creativity, critical thinking, and foreign language, not so much.
Yeah, they're like I'll talk with my students and they'll talk about like concepts or information that's like, wait, did I learn that or and I just forgot or like when it comes to like regurgitating information, like it's the best in the world. Like even like my students will talk about concepts and definitions. Even my wife will say something and be like, "Wait, how do you know that?" And she's like, "Well, I learned that in school." It's like I don't think I ever learned that, and it's just like
But to
that's
be able to practically apply that when it comes to the situation, to practically apply that,
yeah.
it can't happen.
Yeah. Especially that it's so the culture is so entwined with test taking that it just
Hmm.
I don't see that um, moving 180 degrees overnight through this. If he get, I mean, if he gets elected, I don't see it happening overnight for sure.
No. And the to get promoted, you have to you have to have high scores on English tests. And it's so funny. I meet people all the time with a 990 TOEIC score and they can barely introduce themselves.
Mm.
People just study for tests to be able to get promotions. They never use the language um, because why would they? They're a military officer or some domestic salesman that never speaks to anyone internationally. Like, yeah,
Yeah,
that's
I think my conspiracy theory mind lights up when I think that maybe in the past they used English as a way of culling or a way of filtering because there's no other way. Like you can't. If they just based it on ability, there'd be like 90% of the population could probably do whatever they wanted. So as a way to filter more, they sort of made these English examinations mandatory because it does.
mm-hmm,
It takes a lot of time, it takes a lot of effort, it takes a lot of money for people to be able to do it. So I think it's more used as a filtering method rather than as a way of hey let's communicate with the world like you're saying because yeah domestic
mm-hmm.
salesmen having to take the some of these English tests it's like well what's the point? There is no point because they don't.
There is no point.
Yeah, they'll never talk to anybody internationally. But
No.
that's when I'm
But
going.
they can put that on their resume,
Mm,
and they can say, "Oh, but if I were put in that situation because of my 990 TOEIC score, I'll be fine," which is total bullcrap.
yeah. Yeah. That's why I have a
So,
suspicion that it's more of a way to filter people rather than to
oh yeah,
actually give them
I,
knowledge.
I totally agree.
Yeah.
Totally agree.